That's Twisted.
This is Mark McNease in New Jersey with my co-host,
Rick Rose in Shreveport, Louisiana.
And you're listening to The Twist. Welcome to The Twist, everybody, America's only clothing optional podcast. I don't know if our guests knew that, but it is clothing optional. This is Mark McNease. I'm in New York City today. I've got my co-host Rick Rose on the line in Shreveport. Is that correct this time, Rick?
Shreveport, Louisiana. This coming weekend, I'm off to Little Rock, but currently sitting in Shreveport. And it's steamy out there, Mark. Hot morning.
What are you doing in Little Rock?
I'm going up to see a friend, my friend that used to work for Governor Beebe. She's now no longer working for him because he's no longer governor, so she works for the school system up there, the Department of Education, and she's had a little illness and been down for a couple months. So I'm going up to visit her, and they have a big festival called River Fest, so we're going to just sit on the river and watch people watching, my favorite thing to do on weekends.
Well, we're going back to our house today. Our cats are now out there, so our whole family is living in the New Jersey woods, but we have two homes still, so we left them alone. But I'd rather have them out in the country than here in the city. And we're going to see them again today. Now this is our first guest show in a long time, which is really nice. We love having people on and talking to them. So, Rick, I'm going to turn it over to you for to introduce our guest and the topic and all of that.
That's great. You started the show by saying our guest, so I kind of gave it away. It was a great surprise. I can't recall if we mentioned last week that we started to have guests, but we do have a great guest on the show today, and it's timely. This is our friend Lex Talamo, who works with me at the Shreveport Times. Lex is a journalist. Actually hails from, what I understand, the East Coast, but is now living here in the South with me. And Lex just recently did an incredible series that appeared in the Shreveport Times, which is part of the USA Today network, regarding child pornography. And we wanted to talk to Lex about that this morning. Good morning, Lex. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Rick?
Doing well. So you're in Shreveport, too, this morning, I'm taking it?
Yes.
Good. So tell us about this series, then we'll get into it. Well, first of all, how can people find the series? I know there was a 4-part series. You kind of grouped it all together. So there's a way that as we talk, people could just Google search it and find it. What's the best URL or best way to find that whole group of articles?
I know that they can go to our website, and it's there. So if you would go to shreveporttimes.com, and then there's a little magnifying glass, and if you just search for my name right now, Lex, Lex Talamo, T as in Tom, Alamo, the articles will definitely pop up that way. If they are just Googling it, though, they can probably also just search my name and then Sinister Web, and that will pop it up as well.
So that is the name of the series, Sinister Web. And just in a nutshell, how did it come about? Why did you decide to take this topic on? And how do you feel today after reporting on it?
Yeah, I actually, the last series I did, which was a year ago, was on sex trafficking in our state. And it was through that I connected with an undercover cop at our marshal's office. And when we finished the interview, she nudged a book at me, and it was Caught in the Web by Julian Scher. He's an investigative journalist. He's right now based in Canada. And it was like a 300-page long expose of child pornography, and I had never heard of it. Like, I had heard about it in the news, but my conceptions about what it was were so far off, and I care very deeply about children, and I've worked with a lot who have been exploited. And so anytime I learn about a new crime against children, it's always very high on my priority list of raising awareness for others. And so after she gave me that book and I read it, I realized that this was a problem here and that hopefully journalism could do something about it to raise awareness.
And I'm curious to know how did you start? What was your starting point?
So anytime I do an investigation, my very first step is to put some keywords on Google search and Google alerts so that if anything new is happening, I get them in my inbox. And then I also make a list of about 60 different articles, just that I'll Google things that I'm interested in. Like for this series, I was interested in how these crimes impact these children and the trauma that they go through. So I searched for about 10 articles on that. And then I was interested in the challenges that law enforcement face with a crime and how they track these predators. And I didn't know very much about the dark web either, which is a hidden layer of the internet that you need special software to get to, or you need to know how to navigate it because you can get caught by cops, obviously. And so I looked up a lot about that and just building my background base so I know what kinds of questions to ask. So I read about 60 different articles, and then I started making a list of people that I needed to talk to from our region, as well as the other kind of the federal agencies, the Department of Justice, ICE, et cetera. And then obviously when you talk to people, they lead you to more people. And so I started with the readings, and then I put in a phone call, and that led to the rest of everything.
Now,
it is crazy. I mean, it is. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, just that you mentioned the dark web, and I believe it's TOR are the initials. I think it's Tor networks that people use for that, for whether it's the Silk Road drug trafficking and like all kinds of stuff is on there. And I think most people aren't even aware that exists below the surface. Right.
I know that. I know the FBI in particular has had some success with infiltrating Tor, but I'm not super. I couldn't tell you exactly like how to get there or what to do. I didn't actually go into the dark web, but I know that there are a lot of different uses, because when I started, I was also thinking, is it just child pornography? And then I found out through talking that it's more than that. It is stuff like the Silk Road or drug trafficking, but it's also used by journalists in dictator countries where they're trying to suppress the truth. And so a lot of times journalists will have to go into the dark web so that they can find out what's going on, but also so that they can spread their message to other people. So it's not, completely bad. It's, once again, everything is out there. It's just how you choose to use it.
Okay.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. The topic is so layered, as you and Mark are referring to. And what I found interesting about your series, of course, as a CASA volunteer working with abused and neglected kids, these subjects come up, including pornography. And I'm versed on the impact of kids, but what I wasn't versed on was, technology, like you guys are talking about, how deep it is, and how, I hate to say it this way, but child pornography of a decade ago was so different than that of today. And I really encourage you guys, when you go in, Lex series really focuses on that and how the tools have changed. But you mentioned something really critical that's for all of our listeners, we have listeners from all over. This is something going on in mine in your backyard, but it's everywhere, right, Lex? I mean, this issue is huge.
Yeah, it definitely is. The United States, actually, specific to child pornography, it's like 55% of the porn out there is produced here. So there you can find, children being exploited in Russia or Thailand. But when I talk to the district attorneys and the criminal defense lawyers, most of the cases that they're seeing are not just U.S. citizens who are accessing these materials. It's also, they're producing it in their own homes because, as you said, Rick, technology has really advanced so that in the past you might have needed special gear, but anybody can snap a picture on a phone or take a video on a phone or live stream from a phone. And that's what they're also seeing now, is that rather than just pictures, people are demanding videos, and they're demanding videos in real time. So, one of the most disturbing things that I found was that the dark web does let these predators network with each other and kind of escalate their own behavior. So they'll tell someone, I want the kid to do this, or I want the kid to wear this, and then it's all in real time. And so that has definitely escalated the problem as well. But I do want to say, too, it's not just, it's not just child pornography. What most people here saw in terms of law enforcement, it was more what they call online solicitation. And that's when you have usually an older man. In about 97% of these cases, they are a male who is committing the offense. So that's why I'll use the term man. But they found that a lot of men are starting to target like young teens, they can be younger than that, but and asking them for sexual pictures or to meet up and have sex in person. And so that was happening on a much larger scale. So for people who are listening, it's not just, that your child might be walking down the street and get snatched off by a predator. It's, an innocent teenager might be getting shown attention or being made feel special by, this older man and decides to buy into this relationship. And going back to the technology, that's another thing they really said, that some of these children would do things for their phone that they would never do in real life. And so they'll talk to someone on Facebook for 2 hours and they'll think, this guy is really cool, he's my best friend. And when they later get victimized, what the forensic interviewers at our Child Advocacy Center said was, he was a stranger. Why did you talk to him? And the kids would say, he wasn't a stranger. We had been talking online for 2 weeks. Like, he really knew me. And so that was really, that might hit home more for parents, because child pornography, even though it is happening here, can seem like the big scary monster. But these other types of internet crimes are also happening right under parents' noses.
Now, the series has been out online and in print for a while. Earlier, I alluded to how you feel today. What has anything surprised you by the reaction of the public or people who have seen it? Has one story, as a result of this, hit you and made it all worth it, or were you surprised by how scared people were to maybe dig deep into it, or what lessons have you learned since it's been out there?
Sure. So I have had a lot of people just stop me on the street who I've never met before and just been like, Lex, thank you for doing this. This is really important. I had no idea. I've had, people I never would have expected. And it really reinforces to me that it's happening, because when I pitched the idea to my editor, he was kind of ambivalent about it, and he was like, I don't know about this, and I really pushed for it. And just their reactions, when you have a coworker who you have a professional relationship come up to you and tell you, my daughter a year ago got solicited online, or, you have a friend who comes to you and says, hey, my friend just got busted for this. What is his life going to be like? And I've had so many just of those random encounters where it really has reinforced to me that even though not a lot of people will talk about this because it's dark, and I feel like sometimes people would rather pretend that it's not happening, when you have people actually come forward and say, this happened to me, or this impacted me, or this affected someone that I love, it really makes it real, and it makes it all worth it for me. And I have heard back really positive things from the people that I interviewed, which, journalism is going after truth, but it's always nice to hear that the people I talked to think I did an accurate job and helped raise awareness about the issues. Mm-hmm. So
is there, I wonder too, if there's ever, if you ever had hesitation investigating these things, and with any sense of getting, I don't know how to phrase this, but if I were drawn into it, and how do I not get arrested? How do the authorities who are watching all of these things not think that I'm part of this?
Right. So I actually had a lot of luck with that. I actually did have a sheriff call me at the end of the series and say, so did you see any child pornography when you were searching? And I was like, no, I didn't. Okay. But so I didn't stumble across any, which is surprising to me, because I was really searching for research and things like that. But I did tell our IT department, and I told our editor when I started my research, I'm going to be looking up child pornography, or what is more politically, they call it now child sexual abuse images, because that's what it is. Yeah. And, I think they don't really check our computers, but I'm like, if for some reason you do and you have any concerns, please talk to me about it. And we did run into one little snafu where my editor actually wanted me to view it, and he thought that because I was researching it, it was important that I see it. And I had some very strong reservations against that, just because I don't close my eyes to children in pain when I can help them, but just viewing images where there's no way I can identify those children or help them, and then it's the crime. I would be committing the crime that victimizes the children. And so,
Right.
I was not very agreeable to that, but he said he'd be willing to, so we reached out, and the agencies here were just like, this is a federal crime, we can't let you do this, which I was actually very glad about.
Yeah.
I was quite glad about that, but I did have that moment where I was like, I really hope they don't think that I'm asking to see these pictures for my own gratification, because that is not the case at all. But I did not run into any problems with that, and I haven't gotten any calls from like the FBI or anything like that being like, what are you doing on your computer? So, and I think that along those lines, you have to be very intentional in what you're doing. Like if someone is just on a website, and whether it's adult porn or child porn, if it just pops up, like if you click out of it immediately, you're not going to get a search warrant and a cop banging down your door for arrest. So
Yeah.
I think that's important for people to know too, that if they do stumble upon something, there are numbers you can report. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which anyone can Google online, it's NCMEC NCMEC. They actually have a 24/7 cyber tip line where if you see something suspicious, like in real life or online, you can just call them and report it. It's a really simple toll-free number, and all law enforcement I have talked to for both this series and the sex trafficking series just really prefers that you report, even if you don't know that it's true or that it's real, because it could be a child's life that you save, and they would much rather spend the effort investigating it than to not know that it is happening.
Sure.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up. I know you've got a day ahead of you. We really want to bring light to this. People can go deeper. I love what you said too, Lex, that now it's considered sexual abuse imagery. And because sometimes I even hate to use the word pornography. I feel guilty even using that word because I'm so adamant and strident against it in any form whatsoever. Always have been, because of the ideas of power. And I could go on about my own personal connection with it. And we all have those. So check out the series, guys, because Lex really sheds light on it in a 2017 context, even about the resources that are not available, especially in the state of Louisiana or anywhere nationally now as we speak. The dollars to take this on and attack this are insurmountable sometimes, but you have the power to make a difference. And I love that we ended on a positive note. Lex bringing it to all of our attention that you can be a part of helping people's lives. I wouldn't advocate you go out there and be a crusader for it, because I'm sure Lex will tell you it's very deep, and even in her research, there's so much more you probably needed to learn, Lex. But if you do see something, again, go ahead, report it. Check out this series. Lex, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me and giving me a chance to talk to these issues.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, have a good day.
Have a good day.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.
Rick, thanks for the suggestion. She's a great guest. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I know you've worked for years at Reuters and been around journalists. And, but that's one thing I find fascinating too is, not to define age, but Lex is a young journalist, and she has always taken on these issues. This, as a matter of fact, the one she referred to, marketing sex trafficking a year ago, was picked up by USA Today for a day and run on their national website, or our larger website. And it really lit up the chart beat, if you will, which is how we monitor stories' effectiveness and stickiness. But powerful stuff. I don't know at that age that I could have went out and taken it on, quite frankly, Mark. But really a great series. Check it out. ShreveportTimes.com. Search for Lex Talamo, Talamo. You'll see a lot of our other stories. And yeah, it was great having her as a guest, Mark.
And thanks for being on a cell phone. Just so listeners, if Rick sounds a little cell phony, it's because he's on a cell phone today instead of a Skype, which is a technical thing. I know it works because we did it, we tested it, but whatever. These things happen, right? We lost our intern, we're on our own, and it's tough sometimes.
Oh my God. I know. It is tough. I just got a text from Lex probably thanking us, and we're glad she was on the show. And moving on, Mark, a lot of subjects. I mean, I just got to say, I opened my day to a news story about the bombing in Kabul, which by the time people hear our podcast, the numbers I'm sure will raise. But this morning, a horrible attack over the city of Kabul with 80 people deceased, 350 people injured. News alerts scare the shit out of me anymore, Mark. You just never know what's going to come up and when it's going to come up in the middle of your day to set your tone. And just got to put up your thoughts and prayers for healing over in that country.
Well, I saw that when I was looking at the New York Times this morning. That's the first thing I do in the morning. I look at the headlines in the Times. But I've been trying to pare back for a while now because it's also depressing. Now I have some fun headlines. I mean, not all fun, but I have some headlines. Do you?
Yeah, I thought we were going to focus on stories, but I always have headlines.
I thought that's what then we miscommunicated. I thought our fabulous guest, which we haven't done a guest in a long time, and then some headlines, and then we get out of here.
I love it.
Did you misunderstand? Did you think we were doing? No. Did you think we were doing hot potatoes?
Does it really matter what we thought we were doing? Because I'm just going to tell you that I knew exactly what we're doing because I'm prepared both ways.
Well, I'm going to start with this one because I like this. Twitter. I have very mixed feelings. I always have about social media of all kinds, and Twitter's bullshit, and so is Facebook. But you can buy Twitter followers for a couple $100. This comedian did it. He paid $400 and ended up with 1 million Twitter followers to prove a point. But anyways, this headline is Trump buying fake Twitter followers? And apparently he is. You can tell if they're fake by if you look on a Twitter handle. You click on their followers and you'll see all these little empty profile images. Those are almost always bots, and you can buy them. And anyways, Trump currently has 31 million followers, and sure enough, if you browse through them, you will find an unusual number of tweetless, pictureless accounts that joined the service in May of 2017. Apparently, when he was down in the dumps or something, he decided that nothing would bring up his spirits like a bunch of fake, and this is a guy who's constantly attacking the quote fake news. And half of his Twitter followers are fake. It appears that he's gained about 8 million fake followers since January. Please. Okay. That was my headline.
Well, yeah, and in the news today, his about 8 hours ago or something, he used the word coffee or something.
Yeah, weirdness. And he didn't take it down. I think he's got some kind of brain crap going on.
Yeah, I think something serious there. But then I saw his tweet after that, which was about an hour ago. He used some big word. I can't, cacophony or some real word that is large. So, he must have been I'm looking up a word so he could look like he's smart.
Well, how did he spell it? How could he spell a big word and not have to look it up? That's weird.
Cut and paste. I'm sure he looked it up and then just cut and pasted it. I don't know. He's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy. Here's a headline. Florida man crashes into fire hydrant and drowns on his 89th birthday. Did you see that story?
No.
Robert Dreyer.
That's very sad.
R.I.P. Yeah, it is, but it's just to think, like I said, you wake up to news stories, you wake up and never know how your day's going to go. This poor guy, Robert Dreyer, veered off the road and hit this hydrant and in the town of Viera, Florida, 40 miles southeast of Orlando, and the water caused him to drown in his car. Just weird. Just saying.
Yeah. These aren't really happy stories. There's trouble at the top of the world. No, bodies have been recovered at Mount Everest, and complaints of stolen oxygen. So the window for reaching the summit closes as May ends and conditions deteriorate. With the possibility of a successful climb becoming slimmer, there are reports that oxygen is disappearing. So these climbers, it's already death-defying what they're doing, and then somebody's stealing their oxygen tanks. It's really weird.
That's weird. Here's a good happy one. Get ready for a Golden Girls version of the classic game Clue. Question, the sub-headline is, who ate the last piece of cheesecake? You decide. Yeah, in honor of, I think it's the Golden Girls 20th anniversary, maybe 50th, God only knows. It's called Clue, the Golden Girls that swapped the original New England mansion setting with their iconic Miami home. The object of the version of the game may be even more exasperating as you start to solve who ate the last piece of cheesecake.
Wow. I read that somewhere.
Fun.
Republican claims that his state will balance the budget by cutting transgender care. A Republican senator in West Virginia has claimed that the state will balance health care cuts by slashing the budget for transgender care. Senator Robert Karnes of West Virginia said that the billions of dollars that might be lost in the cuts to Medicaid will not be an issue if the state, quote, stops covering transgender surgery. More Republican idiocy.
Bullshit. That's right. Here's one about transgender. I love this one. Hallmark now offers cards for transgender loved ones.
I saw something about that. We're reading the same stuff, and I don't even do Google alerts.
Oh, that's so weird. They're expanding the company's line of greeting cards to be more inclusive of experienced transgender people. I think this one says on the outside it says, "You're becoming who you've always been." And then when you open up, it says, "How wonderful is that?" And I think it's absolutely wonderful that they're creating those cards. I don't know that I would send one to a friend of mine that's got their
because it could be a little presumptuous. I mean, you better know the person because it's just a minefield, as we know. Because to some people,
I would agree.
Some trans people don't even like the word trans. It's like, okay,
right.
Anyways, but no, it's a great effort.
It's a good message.
Yeah, lack of sleep causes your brain to eat itself, so this is pretty scary. But it explains a lot because I don't sleep that well sometimes. Your brain starts to eat itself if it hasn't had enough sleep, according to a new study. Researchers studied lab mice and found that, quote, cleanup cells were more active in their brains when they were sleep deprived. The cells act like mini hoovers in the brain, sweeping up cells as the connections become weak and break apart. So anyways, if you're not getting enough sleep, your brain is cannibalizing itself, which is really, not only is it a creepy image, but on the other hand, maybe that really does explain a lot. I don't think Trump ever sleeps. No, he doesn't sleep. Think about it.
That explains it. I don't either, but I think I have my brain. But there's a new TV series out on Netflix. Drew Barrymore's back in the TV series. My cousin and his boyfriend were posting about it, so I checked it out last night. It's called the Santa Clarita Diet. Have you seen this, Mark?
No.
First of all, the fact that Drew Barrymore is back is awesome. Second of all, it ties in with what you're saying. Turns out she's a zombie. Her heart stopped. She's a realtor in Southern California with her husband. They have a kid, and they realize that she's like a zombie/cannibal. So there's a lot of blood imagery, brains being eaten, and it's just funny though because it's really not funny, but she's so deadpan in her performances. I love her, and I'm glad to see her back.
I like her too.
Here's one.
Go ahead. Go for it.
No, go ahead.
No, my turn? I got two left.
No. Yeah, okay. Well, let me give you this one real quick. This is a good one. Miley Cyrus claims Katy Perry's hit "I Kissed a Girl" is actually about her. The former Hannah Montana star was 15 when the song came out, so that'd be a little strange. She talked about this in a recent interview, I think last week or week before, on WKTU. She's very close to Katy Perry, but then somehow she got lost in this interview without putting things in context, and she claimed she knew that she had just met her, they became best friends back then, and when she sang Kiss a Girl, she knew exactly she was talking about Hannah Montana, which isn't likely that Katy Perry was thinking of kissing a 15-year-old girl, but Miley wants to claim the song was about her. Let her own that song.
Sure, I like Miley. Now I got two left. This one is like creepy, and I'm hesitant, but it came with an image that was blurred out for obvious reasons. Controversial gay porn film features men having sex with didgeridoo. You know what a didgeridoo is? Anyways, Australians...
No, I really don't.
No, but it's that Australians are in an uproar over this. The didgeridoo is that big, long... It looks like an oboe. It's really big and long, and it makes that weird sound that you would like...
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And the Aborigines, it's an Aboriginal musical instrument. It's being used in some gay porn, and you can imagine what is being done with it. And this image blurs it out. But anyways, the studio is facing fury from Australians after releasing a film featuring men having sex with a didgeridoo. U.S.-based studio, by the way, Ben.com, released the clip online this month, featuring adult stars Aspen and Jack. So anyways, I won't go any further, but it was probably the image that made me laugh. But then I go, oh my God, that's really appropriating in a extreme way.
That's really disgusting. I wanna get sick for a minute, but I won't. I mean, that really is stupid. Here's a funny one. The headline read, "Creepy laughing clown doll scares bear out of stealing trash." You know, I love to look up these videos, and I found this one. It's actually a story from early May that I had capped and hadn't had a chance to talk about in our red lines. But you see this video, you can Google those words and look it up on YouTube. But, everyone's so afraid of creepy clowns. So many of us are. And this one was great because even this, it was in Salem, Virginia, and this bear was trying to steal these people with garbage. And they had a creepy clown doll on the porch or something, and it started making noise and spooked the bear, and the bear ran off. So if you have bear issues, guys, put up that clown and activate it.
My last one, and actually is a little thought here because I think we discussed that. Star Wars turned 40, I believe, last week. And the story, it was in the Washington Post. It says fans recall the magic of seeing the film during that first summer. Now, I don't know that it was magical, but I saw Star Wars when it was released in Denver. I had left Indiana 3 days after my high school graduation because I was not meant to live there. I am a free spirit and a creative person, and I was an out homosexual in high school. So I got the hell out of there and went to California, but I drove across the country, and one of my stops was in Denver, where I spent the night listening to Mad Men Across the Water and Young Americans, and Anita Bryant was on the television and doing her thing, trying to, criminalize gay teachers in California. And I saw Star Wars in Denver, so that was the big memory lane walk for me last week. But it wasn't. I've never been like a huge, like a crazed fan of anything, including Star Wars. But I do remember that summer and seeing it when it came out. Were you like
interesting?
You were young, a lot younger. You were maybe 15 or so, like even 13 or something when it came out.
Yeah, I think I was in my teens, if not.
Yeah, you're 5 years younger than me, but so if I was 18, you were 13.
13. You're right. Well, and to correct, Golden Girls is like 32nd anniversary, so this must be not in honor of that because it's not a milestone. But here's a good one. Wrapping it up with talking about movies. Wonder Woman coming out. The movie is getting a lot of attention. It's 98 points already on the Rotten Tomatoes.
I saw that.
I know. It's amazing, Mark. And the reviews have been, or 96%, which is equally amazing. But the reviews have been incredible. If you just look at some of the headlines on different publications that are reviewing it, causing me to definitely want to get out and see it. But they're saying that Patty Jenkins, the female director, is now giving a chance for people to say we can hire women. It's kind of a weird way to go about it, but we can hire women to direct big action films because she really knows her stuff. It says it manages to power through the cliches of a superhero origin story. It compares a lot that it could become the next, major epic film. Chris Pine is amazing in it, apparently. Some controversy, though, in the headlines. The lead is played by an Israeli actress named Gal Gadot. You pronounce the hard T, but apparently they're trying to have a thing in Lebanon where they block the movie being aired because of her faith or her national heritage. But also, I just want to wrap it up. Big headline: Don Cheadle, our buddy, our friend, Mark and I go back. His wife or long-term partner is a friend of ours named Bridget Coulter. But he came out.
They got married. They got married a couple years ago. So.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And they have kids. Mark and I worked with her in LA. But anyway,
it's
really
funny you say like the listeners know this. But go ahead.
No. Well, the Alamo Theater in Austin,
they do now.
Austin, Texas, they do. Austin, Texas was going to do and is still doing an all-women screening of the movie, and of course, people blew up. Men, of course, blew up, saying this is so wrong. What if we did a men's-only screening of a male-oriented film? And blah blah blah. Well, Don Cheadle, if you follow Don on Twitter, go follow him. If you don't, he took it on head on. He said, "Come on, guys, get with it. This is cool. It's naturally appropriate to do an all-women screening of this film. Let them have fun, So
Absolutely.
Anyway, big news.
And speaking of, it's just serendipitous that I'm drinking. I'm not making this up. If you could see me, I'm drinking from a Wonder Woman cup that I bought in the Poconos.
Oh my God, that's
one
so
of my
cool.
favorite cups.
That's
It's a big,
so awesome.
sturdy Amazonian Wonder Woman cup, and I love it. And I was just
And
drinking.
go see the movie. I'm dying to see it. Now, I got a shout out to my friend LJ Thomas. Hey, LJ. She was out there. She's a huge Wonder Woman fan. Has tattoos on her arm or ink on her arm. She and her husband were out in Galveston this weekend, and they went out for dinner, Mark, and she wore her Wonder Woman outfit. She was proud to wear it out.
Awesome.
Love that about her. She's dying to see the film. Yeah. Wonder Woman. Go see it, guys. I think June 2nd is when it comes out this weekend.
Yes, and that's awesome, and so was the podcast, and it was really great to have a guest on. We will have more. We will get over our whatever little technical stuff we have, so you'll sound better the next time, and that's it. We're gonna probably aim for one a month, I think, isn't it? Something like that, Rick? One guest a month.
Yeah, one a month, beginning of the month, but this was at the end because we couldn't wait a couple more days.
Yeah, we couldn't wait. It was I could barely sleep. It was like we cannot wait. But so actually we could make them at the end of the month because I'll take on July. I'll find somebody wonderful.
Oh, I like that idea.
Somebody wonderful and
June,
twisted.
Then. Yes, end of June, twisted. And
end of June. Did I say? I meant that's what I meant. Okay, everybody. We'll be back next week. Yeah, we'll be back next week with Rick and Mark on the Twist, America's only clothing optional podcast. Bye.
Cheers.